What is up, guys? Wraith here, Graybearded Gaming Society. We are closing in on level 4 here. Thought I would jump in right before. As you can see, we are super close. Figured I would go ahead and jump in, do kind of a quick update before we catch the level and get some new spells. We actually had a pretty good tear working through the levels of getting a handful of cracked staffs and managed to actually get just a little bit of money put together. With that money, I've run back and forth to town a couple times. Managed to get a couple of backpacks, which you get, I think, 5, 6 gold. And then I've also procured some more spells for later, so hopefully we'll be able to stay out in the field longer. So we should be all ready to go here. We just buffed up. As I said in the previous episode, is we went and picked up Grim Aura, because unlike the Siphon Strength, the Grim Aura is just a flat attack. And anything at this level that's going to give us that little bit more of an edge, we will take it. We are just still merrily running up to things, stabbing them to death with our little newbie dagger here. Mostly doing a lot of that. I have been wholesale killing decaying skeletons. We've got a few pieces of armor. Most of our cloth is filled out kind of nicely, and the handy thing with that is anything that drops. And that now, level 5. I'm concerned he might give us too much of a hard time here. Maybe if we get the other pet. But like I said, the handy thing now is any of the cloth that drops for us now is pretty much pure profit. And it sells for a couple of gold. Nothing fantastic, but obviously when you're starting with next to nothing, it's a great way to get you started. So at the same time, we had a pretty good run there of a couple mobs in a row that gave us some cracked stabs, which we're getting about 10 gold, or excuse me, 9 gold. So pretty close to a plat, which goes a long way. So we traded in a couple of those pretty much directly for backpacks, a couple more for the spells. So we've been rolling along pretty good. I have been hanging out here at the little newbie log that I found. It's a relatively safe spot to go back to. Not too many things pad directly over it, which means it's been a pretty safe spot to run back and meditate to. Again, a couple of full-blown skeletons run through the area here and there. Been kind of keeping our eyes off of those, or on those, I should say, rather, after our first little incident, where the first one kind of smacked us around, gave us that free port back to our bind spot. We're trying to avoid that fate again as much as possible, just so we don't have to keep resetting. I think, there we go, get the ding, get to level 4, throw some spells on this bar real quick here, and if we can get him mimmed fast enough, maybe we might try smacking that guy before he gets out of range. We'll see how fast I can get these things pulled up here. Of course, it's not necessarily scribing the spells that's a problem, it's actually getting them memorized in time. And we don't exactly memorize things all that quickly just yet. Yeah, it's going to be pretty slow, so I think he's going to get away. However, we're starting to get a couple of spells now that will, while these are the first series of the spells, and by no means will be gangbusters at this level, getting some of the spells, some of our class defining spells later. I mean, technically, we have the fear, we just got our first snare, but the snare is going to be almost unnoticeable. Really not going to be something worth trying to bank a bunch on and trying to launch things off, but this will be our big win for this level, which would be this new pet here. And I also managed to pick up gate. Actually, we'll do a little switching around here. Since we do not, it helps if I put it in the spell book first instead of just trying to drag it straight to my bar, folks. So kind of early on in the game, one of the things that I like to do is keep gate on the spell bar kind of as the emergency out, right? Like eventually, of course, we'll get our hands on some feigned death action, and we'll be able to get out of trouble that way. But up until that happens, gate is a pretty solid option to get yourself out of a really bad spot, especially in the instance where right now we're not really all that far from home, right? We're not so far out that it's going to be such a huge inconvenience to just run back. And I'd rather run back than take the death right now, because we're not going to lose a ton of experience. Let's not just volunteer for every free ride back to the spawn point. You know what I mean? The movement spells around here just a little bit. Kind of early on, I tend to kind of keep 2 life taps until we get things rolling. You never know when you're going to need them. While one of them is pretty small for us, we're not exactly rolling in the hit points and mana just yet. We'll kind of get our spell bar put together here. Let's get ready and cast ourselves a brand new and upgraded imaginary friend, assuming that we ever get it scribed here. There we go. So long, Verbeeker. You've done your job well. But we've got someone that helps if you cast the wrong spell. Let's see what we've got here. So if I'm not mistaken, I'm thinking this guy's going to pop out at our level or bigger. And we are in luck. He popped out at level 5 all by his onesies, which means some of these guys are going to be in some serious trouble. Because the two of us together now should be able to take some of these bigger skeletons without quite as much of the hassle that we had early on when it was basically a level 3 and a level 1. Putting us together didn't even equal the level of the mob that we were trying to fight. As I said in the last video, you know, when you're trying to swing up in this game, it can be hazardous to your health. Alright, let's run this guy through the rounds and see how he does. So here's a skeleton here. He is level 5. Let's pull him with Disease Cloud. Everybody remembers what happened here last time. Let's see what Gabikin here does. Gabekin. He jumped out pretty quick with the lead. We'll see how he does. Yeah, they're kind of even. He is holding his own, which is going to be outstanding. Throw a little poison action out there and we'll start stabbing away. So having access to the slightly larger pet, even though it'll wear off kind of quickly, makes it a little safe for us to branch out here a little bit. Because at least one of the two of us will be the size of some of these larger skeletons. Some of these other guys are still blue to us, means we'll still get some experience. I'm pretty sure at this point this guy's probably just going to clean the floor with him in like a hit or two. Yeah, the small guys will be no problem. If we stay with smaller light blue stuff, he can just absolutely plow through it. But now, there's another skeleton. Oh, this guy's level 6. A little bit bigger. So we'll actually give him a full dose of our arsenal. And put a couple of real dots on him here and see how we do. I think between those and the pet, I think we'll be just fine. Pet's taking a little bit of a beating, but our dots are going to win out in this one. What we do need to watch out for is that we don't get the second skeleton there, because that would not be very good. Don't want to immediately go into a big fight when our pet is still beat up from the previous fight. Now, one thing we can do, if I'm not mistaken, I think this still works, is if we run over here and get ourselves into a safe spot. I believe if we sit down and tell him to sit, I believe he'll also regen his hit points a little faster if he's sitting down. Again, yeah, he's got his hit points back already. So I'm actually curious if he just gets a bonus just being out of combat. So a little Poison Bolt action. Poison Bolt's going to be really strong for us, I think, at this level. Not exceptionally efficient, mana-wise. And all of our spells are kind of expensive. See, that one's 18 mana. 20. Which these other guys are like 10. So yeah, it's obviously, since it's a brand new spell, it's one of the more expensive spells. But it does do quite a bit of damage. A little bit of nuke up front again. 6 damage at this level. You know, it is what it is, but the ticks are pretty strong compared to a lot of other spells. And then let's give our new pet a deserving little weapon. He now has himself a little sword we can wreak havoc with. So yeah, mostly checking in. Like I said, it's with the pet being as strong as he is, that will be outstanding. We'll be able to really kind of smash through some stuff for a little while and kind of pick up some speed here. More safely be able to tangle with some of these bigger guys. We'll have to keep tabs on our mana, right? We don't want our pet to run out of life altogether here. But as long as we're able to cast some of these kind of bigger dots, they go through these guys relatively quickly, which is nice. Now, one thing that we're going to try to do here is I move my spells around here. There we go. Let's run back over here kind of to a safe spot. When I was exploring earlier, slightly off camera here, I managed to go over here and get myself killed. Right around over here, there was it's like an undead ruin that I found. Again, you know, this is a slightly different Nek Forest than the one I was used to forever and ever ago. I mean, it's somewhat the same. Some things have kind of changed here and there a little bit. But we found this nice undead ruin out here in the middle. And it looked to mostly be surrounded by some skeletons, some normal skeletons. I didn't get a total peek of everything that was there. I didn't get too close because just the skeletons, of course, at that size are quite the handful before we had our upgraded pet here. So we might be able to check that out, see what kind of trouble we can get into over there, and then see if that'll be a new stomping ground for a while. I think really what I'd like to do is probably get to, around level 8-ish, get a couple more spells under our belt here, another level of the pet most likely, and potentially run out to, the West Commonlands, see what kind of trouble we can get out in the Commons, and at the same time, maybe sneak across to some early Befallen action. I know Befallen's got a pretty good level range on it, but I'm pretty sure we should be able to get into some trouble there. Towards the door, mostly, I imagine, mostly in the first floor, but should be a good time. Can't remember the last time I was in that zone. It's been a very, very long time. I'm trying to remember. I believe that the trick to the zone was to find it's either Shadow Knights or Necromancers on each floor that give you like a key so you can get down to the next floor. Which, of course, forever and ever ago, created an interesting problem in that if you did die and you couldn't get your corpse back and didn't have anybody else to drag your corpse out or ready to res you back, it could cause problems solely because you'd have to be able to get the key again while being naked. Slightly complicated process there. So let's see what we got down here. So kind of working my way towards the ruins, kind of keeping tabs on the general mobs around me. Obviously, I don't want to get myself into too much trouble too fast here and get overrun. I think what's probably going to be, tell you what we will do. We will, like I said, I patched in, filled in some of my spells here. Everything I remember seeing over there was the undead. So hopefully we can use our little numb the dead spell that we picked back up on one of our runs and keep ourselves from getting swarmed under. We'll kind of slide down the wall here. There we go. So it looks like little runes right there, slightly off to the side. Oh, apparently somebody's been killing some will-o-wisps. Well, that is not a good sign. Right out of the gate, we got one that's all the way up to level 10. Not sure we'd be able to take that. What else do we have to? Oh, we're under attack. Alright. Should be able to handle this little frog-like guy. Not quite sure what this guy is, to be fully honest with you. But he started this fight, and we're going to finish it. So apparently in this area, we will have to keep our eyes open for those larger zombies, because that could cause quite a bit of problems. I'm not 100% sure we could take those guys. Let's. What is this guy? So apparently there's a handful of people over here that are just not friendly for us. We'll kind of stay away from them and try to focus kind of on these undead here. What do we got down here? We got a calcified skeleton, who's level 6. We should probably be able to take that. Decaying skeleton should really be no problem. Standard skeletons, we've proven we can take those guys out pretty consistently since we've got the upgraded pet. A little bit worried about that zombie, however. That zombie could be all kind of problems for us at level 10. Because by himself, he is higher than my little imaginary friend and myself put together right now, and that could be a hazardous situation. So we'll try to sit here and see what we can pick off from these runes. Try to keep an eye out for that guy. So I think, using our little spell here, we should be able to kind of pull these guys out of the way to us. Hopefully get some one-on-one battles without getting ourselves in too much trouble as we kind of transition into our next camp. The one thing I did find out, and again, just one of those goofy things you find things kind of neat, is looked like I got the cool glowing hand. Anybody remembers way back in the day, the glowing black stone was always a really cool look. I think another one that used to glow, the glowy fist, with like a draconid dixel or something like that, a piece of their tail. Well, apparently now you can just equip a fire beetle eye and make it look like you know what you're doing, even when basically you're just squishing bug guts between your eyes. Oh, effortless pulling. There we go. We'll take it. Let's get down on this guy. Step back and let our pet handle the rest of the works. We're trying to get... Oh! We have friends all over the place. This might not be as safe as a spot as I was hoping it was going to be. See, hopefully we can keep ourselves out of too much trouble here. So the big one, of course, to watch out for, like I said, will be one of those zombies rolling through. I think we'll be in pretty good shape with just skeletons. I think we should be able to handle them. As long as we don't mess with any of these. Yeah, they'd probably put a curb stomping on us too. And being as a snake, they're probably poisonous. I'm also curious at this point. I don't remember if this little dude can. And he can dual wield for us already. There we go. Gabakin, the dual wielding skeleton, has our back. Of course, I do not have any form of parse or anything, so I don't really know what kind of damage he's putting out. Just can kind of look through here and see. And he's hitting pretty decent, about 13 or 14, about double what I'm stabbing for, and a pretty good hit. I'm not sure the dual wielding really helps me out much, but damn if it doesn't look pretty cool. So we're about at half mana here. Let's see. Put our little self buff back on. Give ourselves a little bit timer on that. Then we'll move over here and put our Grimoire back on. So I'm going to continue to try to work in there and kind of do some of the stab action along with my pet just to keep things moving. What I'm really anxious to get my hands on, of course, is the ever famous health to mana line that the Necros get to keep that mana action rolling for us. Couple dots on this guy. Yeah. And I think this should be a pretty sweet leveling spot for us here for a little while, so long as we kind of pay attention. Like I said, I'm not trying to get myself run over too badly. Since we keep kind of getting ads, I'm also non-stop looking around to make sure that zombie doesn't come up and curb stomp us. Let's see what kind of action we've got all around this thing here. Once we get kind of moved in on it, I think we might be able to just kind of walk around in it in circles. See how fast these guys kind of spawn up. Of course, the pet's going to make very short work out of some of these guys. So it looks like we can go from decaying skeletons to calcified skeletons. And then resident zombies. Either I missed one behind it or he spawned again already on us. So we might have a pretty quick spawn if you can keep up with the mana and keep yourself safe. Might be a pretty good spot to sit down here and hash out some levels. So I think this is going to be a pretty good spot to try to beat up on some stuff. Like I said, the skill set's not quite there yet where we're going to branch out too much into too many other things. Like I said, we have the snare, we have the fear, but as you've seen, the snare really isn't all that just yet. The fear does not last for very long. I think trying to do any form of actual fear kiting outside of more or less an emergency situation would probably put a hefty drain upon our mana pool, much more so than we would be able to sustain at this size. Because again, most of our spells are talking 18 to 20 mana for some of the newer spells here, and we only have 115 mana total. So casting those spells more than just a couple of times and we will be completely tapped out. And without our... Ooh, that would be an orc sneaking up behind us over here. What do we have going on over here? A Death Fist Legionnaire. And I am pretty sure he would put a pretty good thumping on us. There's a full red con. Oh, look at that. Okay, you learn something new every day. There's an entire camp of orcs over here. And they are all nice and red for everyone I can find. Yep, we're looking at 8s, 9s, potentially some 10s. So yeah, that camp, while it looks like it's going to be fun in the future, right now would be more than a handful for us to handle. One of those orcs would probably be another free ride to the bind point, I'm pretty sure. Like I said, this one seems like it's spawning pretty quickly. And I think it's kind of a hodgepodge of a mix of kind of what you're going to get in the spawn. We've got a handful of decaying skeletons this time around. We've seen calcified, we've seen straight normals, and again, keep an eye out for that elusive zombie. I don't know whether he spawns here or whether he just happened to roam through here when we got close. See how we doing experience-wise? We're trucking through the level pretty decently here. And kind of these levels, as I said in the first video, right, it's kind of any which way you can, right? Until we can get that solid skill set, get the solid toolbox then under our belt there, where we can rely on some fear kiting. And then, if I'm not mistaken, again, it's been forever, having a blast, but I'm pretty sure that the Necros should get a pretty early line of spells against just the dead. So we should be able to do, well, I say actually the undead, I guess, in this game. But I'm pretty sure we get like an undead root. I know we get an undead blast pretty soon. That should be pretty mana efficient. And I believe there was even a fear that was specific just to undead mobs. Oh, what is that? So, now this is a zombie we could probably take. She's not as big as the other guy. So we're going to get ourselves into a little trouble here. I'm going to try to pile on the dots quick so Gabikin doesn't take too much of a beating. Assuming she doesn't resist everything. Probably should have paid a little bit more attention to the mana bar first. Now remember, the only things about these guys was that they would bash you pretty hard and stun you at random. And of course, not paying attention to my mana before I dipped into this fight here was probably a bad idea. We don't have enough mana to cast anything. But I don't want old Gabikin to croak, means that we just gave him all of our best swords here. And we are going on a bit of a drought on hitting back here, so we need to make sure we get some swings going on. We get a life tap in. Not worth much. We might be able to pull this one off. Like I said, she's coming in about level 7, and she's giving us about all we can stand here. She managed to have the life of me and my little pet here. So we would definitely want to steer clear of that other zombie who conned even bigger. And somebody right behind her spawned at one level bigger. So this will definitely be an area we're going to have to keep our wits about us. We have a handful of guys in the range that can be quite a bit bigger than we are. We might have to go pound out a couple more levels in a slightly smaller area where it's just the skeletons to pad ourselves up, maybe get another spell or two to keep ourselves safe. Because again, it's not like I'm worried about taking a death here or take death there, but dying non-stop, that's not going to get us anywhere fast, but frustrated. Let's take a little peek at our map here and steer over this way and kind of head back in the area of our little log that we had so much action at. Of course, with the slightly bigger pet, some of the other mobs that we steered away from should be a pretty good mix. And now we got the larger spiders, some of the tree snakes and things like that. So, rather than get ourselves in too much trouble too fast, we can slightly more safely pick up another level or two, another couple rounds of spells before kind of moving over. I think it should be a pretty good experience. And again, like I said, these first levels, as I mentioned, you know, it's really just any which way you can as far as getting the experience. You know, we're still stabbing things with a dagger. We're still using our very basic toolbox where we're more or less kind of life spike tanking or life tap tanking. You know, we do have the extra dots, which are nice, but again, we only have a few casts and we are tapped out on the mana pool. So, need to keep eyes on that, try to keep ourselves out of too much trouble. Because you saw pretty quickly there, we get an ad or two, and it will be all downhill from there. But, we've checked out a new little camp. We did not die, thankfully. Managed to successfully retreat back to a camp that I think is probably still a little bit more our speed. One of the handy things, of course, is, like I said before, you know, Agnar has kind of had its prime, so to speak. You know, it was out for a little while. There was a pretty hefty population for it for a bit. Several other TLPs You know, several other time lock servers have opened past it that are going to get to this point and then keep going. So a lot of people, of course, have transitioned. A lot of people love the TLP, the start from scratch and move through. So I believe, by and large, the newbie zone is mostly ours. I think I've run across one other person a little earlier today. There's nobody around right now. So we pretty much can safely farm and kill in an area without really getting in anybody's way, getting, you know, again, not getting ourselves in too much trouble. But having said that, like I said, some news bells, new pet, should be able to push ourselves through a little bit. You know, probably going to call it there for this particular time, and we will check back in as we get a little closer to maybe another level or some more spells. I hope everybody had a good time checking in. We will keep this rolling for as long as we can. But in the meantime, I hope everybody has a good night, and we will see you guys later.